Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Team Yolo call. It is an absolute privilege, and I'm just so tickled right now that we are getting to have Celine Egan all the way from Australia. She is the director of marketing and sales there, but she's so much more. I mean, that's just like the pinnacle of this incredible person. She is also an wonderful network marketing guru. And she's done her own business in network marketing, and then she decided to come with us in the Juice Plus company because once you hear her, you'll know why. Her heart aligns with ours. It aligns with the company. She is a woman who has an incredible heart. She is servant leader through and through. And it is just so much fun. Every time I listen to her, I can't wait to take more notes. And my notepad is ready, and I'm rocking and ready to go. Immense pleasure, honor, and privilege to introduce you. So Celine Egan, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be able to serve in any way that I can. So just to kind of share a little bit about my story, I suppose, I like to just share only because of the fact that people kind of go, okay, right, now I know where she's kind of getting her wisdom from, because I only teach from what I've had to learn, and more often than not the hard way. So I signed my first application in the direct sales business back in Ireland when I was 19 years of age. So when you hear the mixed up accent, I was born and raised in Dublin in Ireland, went to travel the world at 22, forgot to go home, and so have been on basically, in Australia and New Zealand for the past, what are we now, 32 years. So it's been a while. And of course, because I travel so much, I'm blessed to travel so much, I have a very mixed up accent. So for those of you who are confused, wondering where she's from, that would be the reason why. And I can see, I'm just trying to see where I can see everybody's faces. Here we go. There they are, just so I can see some faces there. Cool. So that was kind of the beginnings of it. And it was really the reason why I got into direct sales at that particular point in time was my mum's friend suggested it. And I don't know if anybody else here is on the call is an introvert, quite shy, didn't even know what introvert was back then, I'll have to say, but quite shy. And that was me. I really didn't, say boo to anybody. It was family and friends, great, but other than that, not so much. And so people kind of laugh at me now saying, can't shut you up. But anyhow, back in those days, it was actually quite different and quite difficult. So when my mum's friend actually said, you know what, you should do something like direct sales just to help you kind of get out of your comfort zone, because otherwise, you're never going to move ahead and whatever. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. I was absolutely terrified. But I suppose I built my confidence around, I like to say, around the kitchen tables of Dublin, and because that's what I was doing, that first one. And it's funny, my very first foray into the direct selling career was actually selling makeup. I don't wear makeup really at all. I'm lucky to put lipstick on. But anyhow, I've always been a bit of a tomboy. However, I actually got really good at putting it on other people. But what was even more important was that my confidence did start to grow. I never saw this as a career option, though, I'll be honest. So fast forward a little bit, 22, decided to travel the world, landed in Australia. And again, it kind of came across I was at a Tupperware party. Somebody said something about pink scoops. I wanted some pink scoops. I ended up booking a party, and next thing you know, I'm selling Tupperware. Now, it was again, never saw it as a career option. At that stage, then I was working in merchant banking. That was what I thought I was going to be doing. I had trained as an accounting technician back in Ireland. So that's the direction that I thought I was going on. But what I did know was it was great for that little bit of extra income on the side. That's what it was about. And so that was all. I looked at it. It had given us that extra money to be able to fly back to Ireland to get married. I've been with my husband since we were in school, so 37 years now. And so it was great as that little side money. But I never, ever saw it as a serious career option until we were blessed with our first two children in very quick succession. Back in that day in Australia, there was no maternity leave. There was no kind of really paid time off. So with our first two kids, and there's only 18 months between them, I was back in back in merchant banking, back in the job when they were both only 3 months old. And so it felt like I was on a little bit of a rat race. I don't know if anybody else can relate with that. And I get it. I mean, absolutely. I've got great respect for anybody who basically is dropping kids off to childcare at 7:30 in the morning, picking them up again at 5:30 of an evening time, taking them home, feed them, wash them, put them to bed, and do the same thing the next day. And that was what I was doing, and I have great respect for anybody who does it. But we had definitely decided to move to the other side of the world, away from our family and friends, because we wanted better choices. We wanted different choices. And so I have to say, and this is another great example of why it's so important to make sure that you're staying in touch with your team, no matter how much or how little they are doing. Because I was not doing a lot at that point in time. I still had kind of an account open, but I really was not building business. It was very dormant. It would be less than qualified, okay? So it was a dormant business. However, I was still in the mix. But my upline, Christine, and I will never forget, she always kept the light on for me. And so I'd gone back to work. Shane was born in the January. He was number 2. I was back in work at the beginning of April. Okay, so he was literally not even 3 months old. I was back in work. We built our first home in that kind of period of time as well. And so there was no choice about kind of going back. That was just the way it was. And so she actually rang me about a week into going back, and she says, how's things going? I know you're back at your job. I just wanted to check in with you and see how you are. And I have to say, I had a little bit of a pity party. And I just kind of going, oh, I don't know if I can do this. This is not what I came to Australia for, and all the rest of it, whatever. And she says, sounds like we need to have a girl chat and a cuppa. That was all. She didn't go straight into, oh, well, you could build your direct selling business and yada, yada, yada. She just literally kind of held a space for me to be able to kind of have that little bit of a pity party. So on that following weekend, I caught up with her. And she just asked questions. She got curious. Now, how many of us kind of, see an opportunity and we jump straight in instead of actually getting just a little bit more curious? So she let me dig my own hole, really, because I just went straight into the pity party about how, this was not the choices that I wanted, etc. And so as I dug that hole, she just looked at me and she asked a couple of questions, which you will all recognize as powerful questions that you've probably used before and forgotten to use, or you may still use, which is really good. She just asked me one question. The first one she asked me, she says, what if it could be different? And I went straight into, well, how can it be different? There's no, I've got 2 children under 2, full-time, office job, shift working husband, family on the other side of the world, what's going to be different? And, I had a real little thing. She says, well, what if it could be different? What if this thing that you've had as this kind of part-time thing all the time sitting over here could actually be something that replaces your income and gives you more choices and gives you the opportunity to be able to be home, whether that's home full-time or whether that was even home part-time? What would that look like? So 2 things came up for me in that moment as she was asking me the questions. One was a real doubt as to whether I could do that, when I could actually shift it from what it was, because there was no pressure on me to have it as this little part-time gig. And I'm sure there might be some of you that are watching or listening afterwards that kind of go, you know what, I'm actually quite comfortable where it is. There's no real pressure. It's just ticking over, gives me an extra couple of $100 maybe a month or whatever, and that is it. But I'm going to ask you a question, because I need to ask myself a question at that time. Was I playing small just so I could stay in the comfort zone and not get uncomfortable? Or was that all I really, really wanted? And she said to me, you're never going to know whether you can turn it into something else until you actually give it a firm yes. You actually really kind of go into it. So that was the first thing. And the second thing that came up for me at that point, and again, I'm not sure if it's come up for any of you. I straight away went to, what will people think? I had a serious career. I was working in merchant banking. It all looked very rosy out the front. We built this beautiful new home. We had the pigeon pair, kids, and all the rest kind of thing. And so straight away, I went into, what will people think? Now, I'm talking about those babies, by the way, now are 28. Cara gets married in 7 weeks' time from yesterday. And Shane is 26 and a half. He gets married in January, just after he turns 27. And by the way, we added a third to the mix too. Our baby is 6'4" and 23. So it was kind of like, For me, it was, what will people think about that? And I love what Christine said to me at that time. Again, she didn't judge it or anything like that. She just said, if I was to ask you, if just say you lost that job that you're in right now, and you've got this beautiful home, and by the way, interest rates had gone through the roof at that time. They'd hit nearly 18%. So that was the other reason why I was back at work so quickly, because our mortgage had literally tripled overnight, so to speak. So she said to me, okay, so those people that you're worried about, you know, what would they think? Would they be the people that actually showed up to pay your mortgage for you, or to kind of finance you through until you found another job? And I had to really be honest with myself and think about that and kind of go, well, no, probably not. And she said, well, so why are you concerned about what they think? These are choices that you get to make for your family. So I like to share that part of the story, because so often when I am either on coaching calls with people or talking on kind of team talks like this, I see the head starting to roll. And you know what? I don't know whether, you know, you have an opportunity to be able to just kind of look introspectively at the moment and just kind of go, who am I worried about what they think? Why am I playing small? Am I playing small in any way, shape, or form just because I'm concerned about what would other people think if I was to kind of go full bore into my business, if I was to do it? Now, I'm not advocating that you walk away from your jobs or anything like that if you've got that on the side at that point in time, but you can definitely go full bore in. So I went away, went home and sat and chit-chatted with Mick, and I'm very blessed with the most supporting husband on the planet. He's got patience of Job, I can tell you. Some of you, I think, have met Mick over the years. And he's always been one that said, you know what, if you want to do it, I'll support you. He had no clue what I was really going on about, but anyhow, he's always been very gracious and supported me. And he says, what is it going to take? And I says, well, it's going to take, I suppose, us literally be passing ships for the next year. If I was to give this a really solid yes for the next 12 months, would you support me? Because it literally would mean, being passing ships. Like, there was no way. We still would have 2 children under 2. I would still have an office job, in banking. There was no way I could walk away from that. He would still be a shift working husband, and our family would still be on the other side of the world. We were going to layer this on top of it. So it was a case of being really clear in the communication. And sometimes when I'm talking to people and they're going, oh, my partner doesn't support me, or my husband or my wife doesn't support me, I'll go, have you actually ever had a really sit down conversation where you make the goals together about what it is that you're prepared to, that you want in the future, but what you're prepared to sacrifice in the short term? And so that's oftentimes the missing ingredient. The partner doesn't support because they've got no clue what they're supporting. So he said, yep, absolutely. So like I said, I decided I would go to work. And this was in the day before social media and everything else kind of thing. It was in the day before mobile phones, really, actually. I got excited when I got a fax machine. But it was a case of going, okay, what was I prepared to do on a daily basis? And I know that Lauren had said what I refer to the grid, because this is where the grid came out of. I had a square. A grid is as simple as a sheet of paper with 30 squares on it. That's it, okay? 30 and 30 was my goal, and then that's what I used to train my team on. For me, when I was building my business, it was actually 30 in a week, okay? It was 25, so 5 a day, giving my business a high 5, and then I would have the weekend just to catch up to make sure that I was making that up. So for me, it was about, okay, I would get up, get the kids organized, drop them to childcare, head into work. I had a 30-minute lunch break. I liked my food. I was not allowed to have my lunch until I had smiled and dialed. And it was in the day of picking up the phone and actually phoning people. And hopefully, having a conversation with them, or, leaving a message to get back to them later, or whatever it might be. But my goal every single day was to make 5 connections. Okay, and they would be broken down with 2 to 3 new connections, okay, and 2 to 3 follow-ups. Okay, so that was basically what my goal every single day was to give my business a high 5. 5 was easy. It was my hand. I knew what it was. In the old days, we actually even used to talk about putting 5 bangles on your bracelet and then switching them over as you had a conversation to the other. So the bangles, the 5 bangles, the little skinny bangles, would move from this wrist to that wrist to know that I'd actually done the calls. Every single one of those calls would go onto my grid. So a square per call. And I had my little codes as to, you know, what I had done. Had I booked in a cup of coffee with them or a follow-up chat or whatever it was, I would have my little kind of code on there. Letter sent or card sent or whatever. I was also big into sending cards to say, you know, it was so great to be able to have a conversation with you or to catch up with you, or it was so great to meet you at that networking event. So for me, my day was that I would need to make sure that I did as many of those calls as I could in my lunch break before I could actually have my lunch, and I had a 30-minute lunch break. It's amazing how efficient you get when you only have a certain amount of time to do it. In fact, I had to relearn all of that when I left my job, which I'll talk about in a second. Then in the evening time, I had my diary, and if I close my eyes, I can literally see my schedule. And I've not been in the field for over 15 years now. But I can see my schedule of exactly the blocks of time that I had that were applied to different things, whether that was customer care, whether it was team follow-up, whether it was training, whether it was events. When I was building that business, I was holding 2 to 3 events every single week. Now, that sounds easy now because we've got things like this. We've got Zooms, we've got online, you know, Facebook Lives and all sorts of things. They were physical events that we needed to actually go out and do. And when I moved away from Tupperware and I finally retired from Tupperware and went and built a network marketing business, same thing. It was going out and doing the coffee catch-ups. It was going out and doing the live events because that was the arena that we played in. But every single one of those things went on my grid. And the reason why was when I was beginning to build my business, and I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but I was doing my reach outs, and then I'd forget that I actually, you know, had a call with, Jane one day, and, you know, next thing 2 weeks later, I'm kind of go, oh my gosh, I haven't followed up with them. Or I'd be sowing seeds and having conversations anywhere I went, and I had no real kind of way of making sure that I was following up people. So lots of conversations, my follow-up was hopeless. So I realized that I needed to put something in place. That's why the grid went in place. It literally was that square. I moved then into, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen these over there, but I moved into one of these little books that you can buy. And so it was just literally, it's like a month at a glance, and so that actually became like my square, my 30 and 30. And so when new team would start, I would actually gift them all. You know, I'd go to the $2 shop and buy all of these calendars. It wasn't to use it for the date, it was to use it as the grid, so that everybody had that same thing to be able to track and make sure that they were doing. My squares stayed live on the grid until either they had a cross through them because it was no, not now. I never believed in no, not ever, because you just don't know what happens in people's lives. So I would just add them back into my physical diary in those days to follow up in 3 to 6 months' time. I just would stay in touch with them. And I always sent a card after I had done a follow-up with somebody just to say thank you. It was just that personal touch. I still use cards to this day. In fact, I use the card system that I had built a business in. So I really believe in that personal touch as much as you possibly can. So it was kind of, so a cross for no, not now. It was highlighted green because they turned into a customer, highlighted red because they turned into a franchise partner. Now, the first few months of doing my grids, the results were okay. They weren't brilliant. And it would have been so easy to give up at that point in time or to stop doing it and thinking, oh, that doesn't work. But what I noticed when I got into month 3 and then month 4 and month 5, what I noticed was the occurrences of green for customer and red for new team member increased quite dramatically. So what had happened, I started to look at what that analysis, because as a leader, then my job was to really give confidence to my team below. And I used to carry my grids with me so that they could see what I was doing, because leaders go first. And so if I wanted my team to do it, I needed to do it. So I would carry my grids with me so they always saw me using them. And I could take them out and say, okay, take some time for you to be able to make sure that you're getting the results. Remember, in month 2, you're still following up people from month 1. In month 3, you're oftentimes following up people from months 1 and 2 because you continue the conversation. They didn't get a new square. It was always in the same square. So I wasn't tricking myself into filling multiple squares just because I had multiple conversations to the same person. So I really noticed the difference in making sure that I was tracking. Now there are so many different things that you can use. I still believe in the grid just because it's easy, it's very visual, and you literally have it with you. What I used to carry everywhere I went with me was my grid book and my diary. They were, if I was sitting in the car waiting for the kids to come out from school, if I was wherever it was that I was, that's what came with me everywhere. Now, of course, we've got so much on our mobile phones. I've got my calendars and all that. I still use a hard diary, but I've got everything on my mobile phone as well, so my team around me here at home office know what I'm up to. And there's Teamsy, I know that many of you are using as well. Whatever it is that you're using, make sure that it is grid-like, that you've got some way of making sure that you are genuinely tracking what it is that you are doing on a daily basis to build your business. Don't leave it to chance, because when I did that early on, it didn't work. I got mixed results. But once I actually started to truly track, the other thing too is a grid never lies. I used to say to the team, if they said to me, oh, I can't build my business, no one wants to join me, no one wants to buy my product, I say, show me your grid. And 9 times out of 10, there was nothing on that grid, or very mixed kind of, little hit and miss here and there. So that was the thing that was really, really powerful for me. So much so that by the Christmas of that year, so in the April, I said yes to my business. I said, right, we're going to give this 12 months of head down, bum up, and going and working around everything else that was going on. And Nick had said, yep, absolutely. We'll be passing ships in the night. That's fine. We would work it around what it is that we needed to do and everything else we had on our plate. By that Christmas, I was able to go in and resign. I had to give a month's notice because I was on a salary with the banking. And so I gave my notice, and by the time Shane turned 1, just after he turned 1, I was able to walk away and take control of what it was that I wanted to do. So it was really powerful. So I never advocate with somebody just quitting their job. Build it up. I love what Jim Rohn says, build it up until it's such a point where your business takes over what it is that you're earning in your job, and you've got that security in it. And that, by the way, that income is without bonuses. You always want to make sure that you're looking at the real income that you're earning from your business on a monthly basis, a weekly and monthly basis, not the bonusing. That's the icing on the cake. That's the fun money. That's that extra beautiful thing. What's the true income is what's coming out of your commissions on a monthly basis. That's the amount that you're wanting to be building up. So that for me was kind of the beginning of the journey. Now, I'd like to say that it was all sunshine and roses. Absolutely not. The one thing that I have learned about our beautiful profession is, and this is not unlike any other business, by the way. I've studied business now. I've done graduate certificate in business management and all sorts of things since. And I've realized that most businesses do this, just most people don't talk about it. But the reality is that your business will be a roller coaster. You just got to be prepared to hang on for the ride. But if you do, and you do the basics on a daily basis, the beautiful thing is that you actually would have, you just get the rewards along the way. The highs are so much sweeter because you've experienced the lows. Life is duality. Our world is a duality. You can't have happy without sad. You can't have up without down. You can't have light without dark, all of those kinds of things. And yet we expect our business to be perfect all the time, get the results all the time, but we won't. If we're prepared to put the work in, though, you will. I fast forward now, after being, 28 years really to what I say, 27 years to what I say as full-time, that I actually said yes. I've been in this profession now, though, for, 34, nearly 35 years. What am I now? 54 now. So I've been in the profession, but when I said yes was 27 years ago. What we've been able to do in that time is mind-blowing. We've traveled the world. What's big for us as a family is experiences and contribution. That's what we're actually bad as a family. And so we've been able to contribute to many things that we love, whether that's charities, whether it's our church, whatever it is. We don't have to overthink about it. We can actually be able to do that. So that's really important to us. But the other thing that's really important to us is experiences. So we've traveled all over the world as a family. Our kids have been able to go to the schools that we wanted them to go to. We've been able to be involved in the sporting and all of the other things that cost money when you're raising 3 kids and that. But we've been able to do all of those things. And we've just been able to love life. Our family's back in Ireland. As I said, Cara's getting married in 7 weeks' time. Oh, exciting. But we're flying our parents out for the weddings and all the rest kind of things that we're blessed to be able to do. But that was only because I was prepared to stay in the game on the bad days, on the days when I really wanted to fire myself. And there were days where I did fire myself, but I rehired myself the next morning. And I was prepared to get up and get in and keep going. And I would show up at work as if I was showing up at that bank. I would go to work on my business and not kind of just give up just because somebody has said no to me and that. So when I did give up my traditional job and went into my business, I had probably about 4 or 5 months where I actually hit a slump in my business. And I know that this has happened many times for other people as well. And there's panic can set in. You've just given your job away, your business, you think it's stable, and next thing you know, it's kind of hit a bit of a slump. What I learned, what I had done was I had then given myself all day to do stuff and never actually really got around to anything. Instead of having to work in those beautiful kind of short, sharp timelines that I used to have to when I had a full-time job as well. So that was when I started to work in blocks of 30 minutes. And it's amazing what you can get done in 30 minutes. So I would mark in, my 30 minutes for my follow-ups, my 30 minutes for my reach outs, whatever it needed to do, I would mark it in 30 minutes. The other reason why I did 30 minutes is with 2 young children and then a third, you can pretty much guarantee you might get a 30-minute block where you can kind of do something. And so I still, to this day, my team all know I work in 30-minute blocks. And if I need to put some extra time into a project, fine, that's not a problem. But for the most part, if I'm doing a coaching call, whatever it is that I'm doing, it's a 30-minute block and that. So I really encourage you as well to get yourself a timer on the table or set it on your phone or whatever it might be. But work in that and be really clear about what are the high-paying activities within your business, and then make sure that you're investing those 30-minute blocks into doing, those activities so they can be there. Alrighty, I can see this thing messaging at me down below. I want to just see is what my career. I will find one, Bianchi. Yeah, sorry, no. Kimberly's just asked that one. Yep. I'll see if I can actually find some of my old grids. I know they're around somewhere. It's been a while, but I carried them for years early on in the piece and that. So I'll have a little look to see if I've got some old grids, and I absolutely would send a copy. Send me a Facebook message and I'll see what I can find. But yeah, it's literally a square. Like it's literally, if you look at something like this is what I love about these kinds of books and that as well. You're literally just looking at your squares, and it's 1 square per person as you go from there. Okay. Right. Questions.
I want to say thank you so much. I feel like this is so foundational for me, and just it's getting back to the basics again of just like and here I am. I mean, I'm laughing because I am a paper girl, and I have my grid, and this is it, and I do this from you, and so I want to say thank you. I mean, it's just foundational. Amazing.
You're welcome. No, you're so welcome. And I feel, and sorry, I should have said at the beginning, when I get excited I talk really fast, so I hope that everybody was actually able to understand me, because I'm so passionate about what we get to do on a daily basis. Are there any other questions? Has anybody got any other questions, or was there anything else that you wanted me to cover off on this evening for you, this afternoon for me?
I feel like it's great. Thank you so much. Lauren is actually speaking at Q School right now, so that's why she asked me to step in and introduce you. And I was like, my hand went up so quick. I was like, oh, I would love to introduce Celine. I just think she's the best. I was so excited. And it's always, you're all heart. You're so authentic. You're so real. You're approachable. And you have this incredible position, but you work with all of us, across team, and I would highly encourage anybody to reach out to you if you have people growing in Australia, or just Celine is she's fantastic. She is just, I just adore you, and I'm so grateful that you spent your time with us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so, so welcome. There's not a worry at all. Let me just have a little look here. Facebook name. What is my Facebook name? Celine Egan. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, search me. Celine Egan. There you go. Yeah, good. Excellent. Cool, cool, cool. Well, as I said, I'm just going to encourage each of you just to do a little internal audit and that. And, you know, I think have a little look to see. One of my beautiful mentors, she used to challenge me to do an ACE checkup every couple of months, and that was attitude, commitment, and effort. And it really links back to everything. Where's my attitude? Have I got an attitude of gratitude for what I've got? And have I actually got an attitude of doing? You know, am I actually making sure that I'm actually, you know, getting out there and making things happen? The C for commitment, then, you know, where is my commitment really? And there are so many amazing promotions on the table. I would really encourage you to be looking at what you're, you know, in whatever area you're in, what's on the table. Am I going for it? Am I committed to doing it? And then E, am I truly putting in the effort? Okay, because you can have all the commitment under the sun, but if you're not putting in the effort, if you're not filling in that grid or your Teams or whatever it is that you use to be checking your activity, then I would really encourage you to do it. You know, writing it down, getting it into an app, whatever it might be real with yourself. Be really, truly honest with yourself. That was the biggest wake-up call for me. And so I would kind of do an ACE checkup every few months and that as well, and kind of go from there. Okay. Yeah, I'll have a little look to see if I can find the grid.
You said an A checkup or an ACE checkup? What did you say?
ACE, ACE, attitude, commitment, and effort. ACE.
Attitude, commitment, and what was the third?
Effort.
Effort, okay.
Yeah, so attitude, commitment, and effort. Let me have a little look. Mo, you've asked me my favorite business book. My favorite business book of all times is actually The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Absolutely love that book. I really, really do. It's got a lesson in every chapter, and it was one that I used to gift to my leaders when I was a leader in the field, to my team, and that any of my leaders as they came through. So it's a little bit of a doorstep, but do I have it on this one, or is it on my one at home? It might be on my one at home, but yeah, it's still one that I will actually refer back to. So The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And then the other one that I'm loving right now currently is, there's two actually. The first one is Robin Sharman, The 5 a.m. Club. Now, this is not about, you know, for some of you, you might think, no, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. It's not just about that. His tips in there are absolutely amazing around productivity. So like he has like that 90-minute focus time, and then if you're working on a particular thing and whatever, and it's really very, very powerful. So I would encourage you to have a read through that book. It's really good. I've got it on Audible and I've got a hard copy. I've read through the book nearly twice now, and I've listened to it at least once, and I will go back and listen to it again. And then the second one that I believe is a must-have is the 4-year career. If we're in this business, if we're in this profession, we should understand it enough to be able to, you know, the power of leverage. And that's what I love about the 4-year career. It actually is a great tool to be able to gift to people as well. And I love a lot of the stuff that Richard does. He's actually my personal business coach. And so I've got a lot of time for Richard Bliss Brooke. So I just love some of the stuff that he does as well. He's a straight talker. So yeah, so maybe, so they might help. There's so many. I just love reading books. I'm always kind of reading something, but they were my two kind of really that I wouldn't be without.
Oh my gosh.
Cool.
Thank you so much. That was just amazing. I actually remember meeting Richard Bliss Brooke at an Eric Worre event, and he was just so generous with his time and really wonderful person. So it doesn't surprise me he's one of your mentors and you're being coached by him.
Yeah, he is. And like on that as well, guys, make sure you're reaching out to mentors and coaches, and that, you know, there are some amazing people out there. If you can't afford to actually invest into that, then read their books, listen to their audios. There's no excuse not to be always learning in today's environment. There's just so much resources out there, and get on every training call that you can possibly get on. You know, there's lots and lots that are available no matter where you are in the world. So I really encourage you to do that.
Oh, Celine, you're fabulous. Is there any other questions at all for Celine? Anybody who wants to reach out and ask her anything? And She's the real deal. She is authentic, real. She's been there, walked in our walk, walked in our shoes, and she leads by example. So truly a phenomenal human being. So, well, gosh, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Oh, a question?
No, just thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah. Excellent. Well, have a beautiful rest of your evening, team. And yeah, can't wait to see some grids or whatever it is that you're using. Reach out and let me know what you apply from the call today. Because remember, knowledge is useful, but it's the application that actually is powerful. So
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, to me, the best thing I got out is like, I loved your questions. What if it could be different? And what would that look like? And if I was to ask you, and then right before she talked to you about, your house being, if would those people pay for your mortgage, and to really help you get out of your own way. I thought that was really pretty amazing. And I love the timer idea and the 30-minute.
All frozen, or is it just me?
What? I can't hear you. Well, I think that's it. Can anybody hear anybody or anything or no or? Okay. Sayonara. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Monday. Woohoo.
Bye. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Thank you. It was awesome. Awesome, awesome.